Hi, everybody. Mambo Sam here. I am with Sister Bridget. Say hi, Sister Bridget.
Hi.
And we are answering some questions that you guys have either had over the years that we've talked to you or whatever. And so we thought we would get on here and do them like this and answer them for you. What's my question, Sister B?
This question is, why does some magic take time to work? Why doesn't it work instantly?
That's actually a really good question. There are some things that seemingly do kind of work instantly, and I've had people tell me that the minute I started doing this, then such and such happened. To which I always say, by the way, just as a side note, if you're doing spell work and you're in the middle of it and you get your result, finish your spell work, because if you don't, you really run the risk of losing what it is that you gained. So you really want to finish that spell work, no matter if you got what you wanted on the first day of the spell work. But spell work is always about good spell work is always about building something and starting with a good foundation and working your way up from there. There's a reason that, you bake a cake. You don't, you have your eggs and your sugar and your flour and your butter and you put them there, but you don't have a cake yet. You have ingredients for a cake. So spell work's kind of the same thing in that it needs time to come together. It needs time to work on people. Just abracadabra and things happen is unrealistic. It's also unrealistic sometimes, especially if you are working on a person, because you can't feed all that information to a person all at one time. It needs to be in the increments that the person can accept it, process it, and decide whether or not they're going to act on it. Because if you do work from us, free will is always going to remain intact, and your target has the option to not respond to the spell work. Because you don't want to do things where you don't leave people's free will intact, but that's a whole nother story. Anyway, so very rarely do things happen um automatically in magic. It does take work. It's called spell work for a reason, because there's work involved. And if your goal is worth having, it's also worth waiting for and doing properly and getting all your proper steps in. People out there just doing helter skelter magic, just throwing stuff out there, and oh, look, I got a result. And then crying when that result is taken away. That is why, because you can manifest certain things immediately. But most things should not be manifested immediately. They should have their proper time to be done properly and to be done right. And that's why.